Hello and welcome back to GBN America with me, Patrick Christys. Now, everybody knows about the Trump case taking place in Georgia at the moment. Allegations of electoral interference. Well, there's been another twist in this tale because unsealed divorce documents of Nathan Wade. Now, Nathan Wade is the special prosecutor for Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis. Now, they reveal things like lavish cruises that allegedly took place together in 2022. They reveal things like charges on Wade's credit card, showing more than $6,000 spent on flights to Miami, the Caribbean, Royal Caribbean cruises. Bookings were made as well in Fani Willis's name, suggesting, that they were joined together on these particular trips. There's a heck of a lot to go at here, and it leads to accusations of kickbacks and potential corruption and all of this stuff, or certainly vested interests. Chandelle Summer joins me now, and Chandelle is the attorney at Summer & Summer, so good they named it twice, former Fulton County public defender, and of course this is now, it's worth remembering, isn't it, the county where the Trump case is being prosecuted. Chandelle, thank you very much for joining us here on GBN America. There is a lot to go at here. I mean, is this as outrageous as it seems? We've got, kickbacks paid by a lover, apparently, $650,000, dollar salary. What's going on here?
It is outrageous, and I think it has rocked both the legal community in Georgia as well as the prosecution, and given the defense the break they really needed in this case, because the case was originally indicted with 19 co-defendants, including former President Trump. 4 of those co-defendants, mostly lawyers, have pled guilty to the charges and were anticipated to be witnesses in the case against President Trump and all the remaining co-defendants. However, it now looks like there's a very good chance that the case is going to be derailed by these accusations, which, if true, would suggest that the district attorney for Fulton County, Fani Willis, has profited in some way from the prosecution, in that she paid her alleged paramour $654,000 to be a special prosecutor on the case, and then he returned the favor by taking her on lavish trips and vacations. So in some way, she's profited from the prosecution, it could be argued.
So what would happen here then? I mean, this sounds illegal. Is it illegal?
It is probably an argument. An argument could be made that it is illegal, that if you can show that they entered in a plan or a scheme to defraud by doing this. Now, that's a long stretch. So what it really suggests is an unethical situation between the two of them, and it may result in the district attorney's office for Fulton County, Fani Willis, being disqualified from prosecuting the case. And that means that they'll have to find someone else to step in and prosecute the case, and that could be the Attorney General for the state of Georgia, which is quite frankly unlikely because he's a Republican who has ambitions to be the governor of Georgia. So I don't know that he thinks it would be a good idea to step in and prosecute the case against one of the potential contenders for the presidency, especially after the New Hampshire primary last night. The other option is that they would find a special prosecutor from among the other communities in Georgia who would be willing to step in and take over the prosecution. It could also result in a dismissal of the charges, which would then would require them to start over with the indictment, and it's a mess.
It's a mess. I mean, anything can happen. We'll have to watch this space. But Fani Willis has claimed that her critics are playing the race card, basically. I mean, can she justify this, or is this just the last resort of somebody who has been caught out?
I think it's the last resort of someone who has been caught in a very embarrassing and uncomfortable position, because there are 3 prosecutors that she hired on this case. 2 of them are white, and then one of them is her alleged paramour, who is African American. And she's not alleged to be having an interpersonal relationship with the other 2 prosecutors. And the other 2 prosecutors, from my understanding, were paid far less than the prosecutor with whom she's having this relationship, allegedly.
It's just hilarious. I mean, it's very serious, but it is hilarious, and it does make you wonder, doesn't it? If you're involved in these kind of cases, you can't expect to get away with this kind of stuff. Allegedly, of course. Regarding the alleged financial impropriety here, okay, if evidence does emerge that Wade used county funds to pay for things like lavish vacations with Willis, is there any way that either of these two now could face criminal charges?
Well, the motion filed by the defendant, whose name is Michael Roman, who actually brought this motion, suggests that it is a violation of the Honest Services Fraud statute, which is a federal statute. And sort of ironically, it could be charged as several violations of the Honest Services Fraud statute, which would involve RICO potential. A RICO is the Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization statute, which is what Donald Trump is charged with. He is charged with having had an organization whose sole purpose was the unlawful overthrow of the United States government by trying to set aside the results of the 2020 election. So, ironically, and taken to its logical conclusion, if these charges are determined to be valid against Fani Willis, she could be charged with the same thing that Donald Trump is presently charged with.
This is gold. Someone just make a film of this, okay? The absolute hypocrisy on display here is mind-boggling. You allude to it there, though. The wider context for this is that now Trump can use this, rightly so, by the way, and say, well, this casts everything into doubt. Look at the people who are bringing these things against me. They can't be trusted. They are guilty of the exact thing they're accusing me of being.
Yes, and Fani Willis should have known better. This is astoundingly poor judgment on her part. You don't prosecute the former president of the United States with unclean hands, coming in there doing things that are questionable, are going to be subject to many different issues in the case, as well as ethical violations. Potentially, she could lose her law license, although I think that is on the outer edge of possibilities. So it has really opened up a can of worms. Interestingly, Donald Trump and the other co-defendants in the case have not joined in the motion to have Fani Willis disqualified. It's only one sort of minor defendant in the case who is doing it, but there are several proceedings coming up in the next week. For example, in the divorce case that Nathan Wade is involved in, they are taking Fani Willis's deposition. So she's going to have to answer questions, and she's going to have to answer questions about whether or not she had an interpersonal relationship with Nathan Wade while this case was going on. And in Georgia, in the state of Georgia, adultery is still a crime on the books. So she could very well invoke her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and not answer the question, and which would then allow, in the divorce case at least, the judge to infer that she had in fact done what the question infers. In the criminal case, it would not be admissible. So that is probably, if I were her attorney, I would probably be telling her to take the Fifth Amendment as to any prior relationship. Now, they have receipts and they have documents that they've gleaned from the divorce case where they have done discovery and they've been able to find, like you said, receipts from cruises and plane tickets. And that's damning enough to where I think it's going to cause serious problems going forward.
Well, you know where this $650,000 a year salary is going now, don't you? Legal fees. Legal fees. Chandelle, thank you very, very much. Absolutely brilliant to have you on the show. I really hope to speak to you again, because we're going to be watching this very closely on GBN America. That's Chandelle Summer, their attorney at Summer and Summer. Make sure you keep your eyes on what's going on in Georgia.